Hey guys, welcome. Today we have Kia's clone, Mo. So, Mo, how are you doing?
I'm doing good as of now. I've been checking around and I haven't found any agents. So I can tell that Kia can come now because the coast is clear.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Ashok Sports Podcast. Today we have Season 2, Episode 9 of the Getting to Know You series. And today we have a very special guest, Kia, so let's bring him on. Welcome to the podcast, Kia, this time.
Yeah, thank you very much. My agent came over, he checked everything, and it was good. Everything was clear.
Thank you so much for coming.
Yep.
How are you doing today?
I'm pretty good. I'm sad with the loss. Today we had a tough matchup, actually. Now L's team is looking like the best. Yes, L. Good job.
So I wanted to start by talking about the game. What do you think that your team did wrong or bad?
So I think the first thing we didn't do was we communicated, but we didn't execute on the communications. Like we would go into our timeouts and say, guys, we're going to do this. Everyone be in agreement. Yes, we're going to do it. We'd go out there, no one was doing what they were supposed to. And it was very difficult because I felt like we didn't trust each other as much that game because we didn't execute on the plans that we had.
Was there anything on L's team that you kind of didn't expect from that team?
Definitely. I think, first of all, Sully gets a very bad rep, I believe.
Yeah.
I think he's one of the best in the league. I think that he doesn't have any experience or doesn't have enough experience and doesn't understand the game as well as he should, but he's younger, right? And I think people give him a bad rep for that. But L's been doing great with him.
Yeah, I mean, I think just watching the last 3-4 weeks, L, you can notice that Sully's playing differently, and I think it's a lot to do with the way L is coaching him up.
Mm-hmm.
So far, how do you like your team?
Oh, I love my team. I love my team very much. It's just I can't even name which one I love the most because I love all of them individually so much. I wish Ismail would get more credit.
Yeah. So this is your first season in the league. How do you like the league so far?
Oh, it's great. Honestly, it's one of the best things I've ever been a part of. I love the basketball aspect of it. However, the more important aspect for me is the brotherhood. It's very important. I want everyone to succeed. Actually, there was a younger guy today shooting a free throw. It was at the end of our game, and I was like, I want him to make it because I want him to be successful. Because he's been struggling his past couple of games, and he made both free throws.
Yeah.
So I love the brotherhood aspect very much.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that's kind of unique about our league is I've never really been part of other leagues where, after a win, you can go and sit with your opponent and talk about what did we do wrong? How can we get better?
Yeah.
And you see that all the time, constantly in this league. People will come up, even after we played you guys last week, you guys asked me, what did we do wrong?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Dion asked me. I went up to Yasin and talked to them about. Well, I didn't ask them what we did wrong. I just kind of try to make fun of them, even though they beat us today. But being able to sit down and have those conversations with the teams that you just lost to, that you were fighting against—that's the difference in this league.
Now that it's going into playoffs, I'm starting to talk less to my opponents because I in the beginning of the season, I'm like, you're doing this wrong, you're doing this great, you're doing this great. Now I'm kind of like, all right, I'm out.
Yeah, and I was actually thinking about that today too because you're right. Once we get to the playoffs, then it's going to be like a little switch that just kind of flips, right?
Yeah.
And then it is really about because if you lose, you're out. There's no
Yes,
we'll play next week, right?
Yep.
So I think everyone has to go into that playoffs with that mindset, okay, we are going against each other, we're opponents, and while on the court, that's how it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of the playoffs, who is one team in the playoffs that you don't want to face?
Well, definitely Farhad's team. I think with the other teams that we lost, and I say this humbly, I think it was our mistakes. It was what we did wrong. But against IJ, we did everything we could against you guys, and we still were down 20.
Yeah, I mean, IJ's a very unique, talented player, and he, you can see both our losses this year have been when he's not there, and you can see a big difference in the way we play offensively and defensively, right? So he's such an important part of our team.
Who is one team that you do want to play?
Al Khalil. Unfortunately, I actually couldn't imagine what it feels like to be on that team. But I will say this, quite frankly. You guys aren't out. It doesn't matter if you're the last seed. You can turn it around in playoffs. It's one and done.
Yep. And they have the talent, right? They have 4 top-tier players.
Mm-hmm.
They just have to get on the same page and figure out how to play together.
Yeah.
So this season, what do you think of like your personal stats? Like I know people when they came on, they're like, oh yeah, we locked down Kia and you still had like 30 points.
Mm-hmm.
So like, how do you feel about that?
Well, I think that I'm doing what I would normally do, and I also think I want my teammates to get more involved as well. Dion was talking to me about it today. Actually, he was like, "Yo, I'm so frustrated every time they talk about our team. They just say Kia's team. I'm a part of the team too." And I'm like, absolutely. So personally, for me, I just feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, but I want to see it reflecting on my teammates.
Yeah, I mean, I think your team. Because we played each other last week, right? And I was like 100% confident that you had like 15 points. Right? And I was just like, literally, when I saw the stats, I was like, nah, the stat keeper's messed up. They probably get a bunch of because it just felt like with IJ playing defense the way he was playing defense, it was very, very tough, right? But then I went back and watched the tape, and I'm like, wow, like you scored all those points, and a lot of those shots were in IJ's face. There's one shot you made in my face off of a pick where I think I hit your hand like that. So I was there, but it was nothing but net, right? And I'm just like, wow, like you're such a talented scorer. And Dion, I think, is the other part of that team that, like, he has to be able to play a certain way for everyone on that team to like have a good game, right?
Yeah.
And I think you guys are going to be very tough. I know you guys were missing Ismail today, which made it tough to go up against Sully and David Barber.
Yeah.
So that was definitely, not to take anything away from Gaza, but that definitely makes a difference, right, in terms of matchup. And I think, I've talked to Dion a lot recently also, and I think, he is getting frustrated because I think he feels that teams are doubling him now.
Yes,
a lot more.
absolutely.
So,
I just want to ask this to the whole league. Why don't you double Tajon or IJ? Why is it always me and Dion that you always have to double? But anyway, that's just the question I'm throwing out.
Yeah.
So speaking of IJ, how do you think like you matched up with him?
Well, IJ is probably one of the best players I've played in my whole life. I think people don't recognize that he's going like 40%.
Yeah.
Like I can recognize it. I can tell. The other thing is the amount of impact IJ has on the team. It's not even scoring and passing and defense. It's the morale boost you gain. That his teammates are confident. His teammates are playing much better than they would if they were by themselves. So I don't know how we're gonna face IJ. I think the matchup would have to be me getting a bunch of screens on him, to be quite frank. Yeah.
Which I think you guys did a good job of against him. That's you were able to get a lot of good looks that way. But there's definitely, I think there's always. I don't think there's any team in the league that's unbeatable. You just have to, do your homework. You have to understand the tendencies of the team that you're playing, and you have to figure out what are you willing to give up in that game. Like, who are you willing to give the shots to, and who do you want to make sure that this is not the guy that's going to beat us.
Well, that's the tough part because literally coming into the game, I gathered my team like, guys, this is the game plan. Everyone's listening, and I said to them, look, Gauss is shooting 19% from 3. We're going to let him shoot all day. And my team was like, okay. And I said, I'm going to run IJ to the ground. I'm going to keep running and running and running. And then halfway into the game, I came to realize it's all fluke. It's not working. Ghost was hitting all his shots. Yeah. IG didn't get tired at all. And I was like, so.
Yep.
So, you want to get into like some personal questions?
Sure.
So where are you from?
I'm Persian, so Iran. But I was born and raised here.
When did you first get into basketball?
So, first time I picked up a basketball was around 13 years old. and I was terrible at it. I was incredibly terrible, way worse than the worst player in this league. And I think I learned a lot from it because I had to train myself. I had to dedicate myself to something I was terrible at. Before I was an incredibly good player at soccer, so I had to quit soccer and put all my time to basketball.
Yeah. So I saw you playing chess earlier this morning.
Yeah.
So are there any other like sports that you play?
I do consider chess a sport. No, I don't.
So
Did you win, by the way? Who were you playing against?
I played a lot of people. I played L. I played so many people. I played Musa. Played a couple other guys.
Yeah.
Dawood. Yeah.
Did you win all your matches?
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah. Who was the toughest one?
Musa.
Musa? Oh.
Yeah.
So L not that good?
No. Sorry, L. You played great today. Basketball, not chess.
I gotta verse you in chess.
Yeah, definitely.
So what do you think? Like, are you guys still doing the podcast with Ellen James?
Well, it was a fun thing to do, but now I'm going to school in another month, so I'm taking a step back from that. I want to get back into my social media and what I like to post, but I've been doing different things this summer, so I don't think we're going to see another MB podcast from me.
I mean, I think we would love to see one right before the playoffs, maybe, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be nice, or maybe we can do kind of something together with.
If I do, I don't want it to be on Zoom because
Yeah.
it's boring on Zoom.
Yeah.
It's much better in person.
Yeah.
And like the first podcast we did was with Monim, and we did it on Zoom, and like it was like it's kind of hard. Like I think also Ayan popped in, but then the internet was really bad, so we kept glitching out. We couldn't barely understand what he was saying, and then plus like whenever we did it, like the camera quality was like not that great.
Yeah.
So it's like so much better doing it in person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Before we get into like rapid fire, are there any questions that you want to ask me?
Sure. Let me think about a couple. So how have you seen yourself grow in the communication and business aspect of what you've been doing with IssueWorks? How has the growth been in the last couple of years for you?
So with the podcast or like
Well, everything, not the chocolates, the sales, and the communication and podcasts. Yeah.
So I'll start off with like the podcast stuff. Whenever we first did it, like I kind of, for me it was like question answer. Like I kind of wasn't like that good as like asking follow-up questions and conversating with everyone. I think recently I've gotten a little bit better with trying to like conversate with people, because like watching the podcast back, I'm like, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that, and then like fixing those mistakes in like the next podcast.
Yeah.
And then with like the other sales stuff, I think just keep doing it. I kind of just got better at it, got you more used to it. Just keep doing it.
Okay, let me think about another question. So besides IJ and these types of players, and who's one of your favorite players in the league that's not given enough credit, that people don't talk about enough?
Whenever I was picking my favorite player in the league, I was between two people, and the second person I think is one of the most underrated guys is Moghad.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I think Moghad is incredibly underrated. Yeah. Nice.
So,
okay.
Yeah, it'd be Moghad.
So those are all the questions I have.
So rapid fire?
Yeah, let's do it.
So you have a minute to answer all these questions.
Okay.
Alright. Ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Favorite player in the league?
Ghosts.
Favorite NBA team?
None.
Coke or Pepsi?
None.
Favorite sport?
Basketball.
Hiking or swimming?
Hiking.
Dion or Monim?
Dion.
Rain or snow?
Snow.
Florida or California?
Florida.
Instagram or TikTok?
None.
Flaming hot or crispy spice?
Flaming hot.
Gaza or Dear Yassin?
Gaza.
Skittles or M&M's?
M&M's.
Soda or coffee?
Coffee.
Apple or Android?
Apple.
Rumla or Rafa?
Rafa.
And then Dunkin' or IssueWorks?
IssueWorks.
I don't know. I think that do we have like a coffee for you?
Sure. We'll be right. Oh.
There it is.
Yeah, we had a tough trouble with the agents. We got this now, though.
So last podcast we did a little bit like the dream team. So what would your all-star team be?
Finally, I get to include myself. But okay, so my first player would be, of course, IJ.
Yeah.
I would have myself at shooting guard. I would have Tajon at the small forward. I would have Chris at the power forward. And then I would go with Sully, believe it or not, at the center.
Yeah.
And then...
Three bench,
okay. I would do Ian. I would do Dion. And I would do... This last one's going to be tough. This is a tough one. Who are some good big men in the league?
I mean, you guys have Ismail, you have David Barber's out there.
Andy, Matt.
Andy, Matt, yeah.
Honestly, I would put Matt.
Yeah, it always is helpful to have another big man on the team.
Yeah.
Yep. That's a pretty solid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
If you can only have 6 of those players.
It would just have to be Ian. Because I honestly think Ian's incredibly underrated. I think he's underperforming. But hopefully he'll snap into it.
Nice. So I actually wanted to ask you a couple of follow-up questions because we were talking earlier about you are from Iran, right?
Yep.
So, and you said you were born here. So were you growing up very religious or like how was that?
So it's actually very interesting because my grandmother's father was an imam in Iran. And when my father escaped in the 1970 revolution in Iran, he came over here and he dropped Islam and he basically turned to Christianity. Same with my mother. And all these years, I didn't know anything about Islam. You only see the crazy, disproported propaganda that they put in the media about Islam. So I knew nothing about it, and I never actually tried to know anything about it until about this year, like 7-8 months ago. I opened the Quran, and I was just honestly without words. I was speechless. So as I continued reading this, I saw what I was looking for all my life, because for 15, 16 years I was Christian. I was very, very deep into Christianity. I studied it. I knew a lot about it. However, it just didn't feel right. You know, it just felt like something was wrong with it. And Islam made everything right for me.
So is that what got your interest in Islam? Was it just didn't feel right with Christianity, or
no? It was opening the Quran.
Oh wow,
that was it.
So what made you want to open the Quran in the first place?
I don't even know.
Okay, wow.
I don't even know, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah. The poetic, I've never seen something so poetic. I don't think a man could write such a thing. Whereas the Bible, I believe a lot of it is unfortunately man-made and written by man. But the Quran, I just think it is written by God. So.
Yes. How's it feel? So you said about a few months ago, right?
Yes.
So have you been around a lot of Muslims, or this is like your first time?
First time. Honestly, that's what really got me wanting to join the league. It wasn't basketball. It was learning more about Islam. And honestly, I still have a very, very far way to go. But it's taking the first step, right? That's why they have the Shahada. So once I took my Shahada, everything started changing for me. And I started becoming the person I want to be. So.
How did your parents react to that?
Oh, it was terrible.
Yeah?
It was terrible. Honestly, for like a whole month, my favorite people didn't communicate with me. They were just like, "You're crazy. You're following the shaitan." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" Islam is Satan's religion. I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Like, and it was honestly saddening, but I continue to push. And now they respect me for it, I guess I could say, because they're not giving me the same vibes that they would back then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's good. I'm glad.
How long ago did you take your Shahada?
It's been 4 months now.
Oh. Yeah, nice.
If you're on Aeon's team, right?
Mm-hmm.
We would make a joke that you took the shot right before the season started. Just
Good
kidding,
one,
yeah.
good one.
But no, alhamdulillah, like I'm glad. Like, you know, I think you're one of the newer guys in the league that has a lot of. Obviously, you're very talented, right, in basketball terms, but there's a lot of stuff that we don't really know about you a lot, right?
Yeah.
So I think you're one of the more interesting new additions to the league, and looking forward to just, you know, having you just be part of the league.
Yeah, absolutely. I for me, I was at first very happy about Chris joining. I was like, yes, another brother. And then I looked at their team and played them, and I'm like, oh. But anyway, it's still good. So, yeah, that's why I want every single person to perform well.
So, is there anything else?
Nope.
Good.
You're good.
Do you wanna talk a little bit about next week's games to finish the regular season out?
Predictions?
Yeah, we could do
some
that.
predictions,
Yeah.
Predictions. Down here. You pull it up.
Yeah, I think it is.
So, here. I think next week is good.
I know we play a lot.
Yeah, you guys play Log first game.
Yep. So the very first game is going to be you guys versus Log. So what do you take on that?
Unfortunately, James, I love you very much, but we're gonna beat you.
Obliterate.
Yeah, we're gonna obliterate.
What do you think, Isha?
I'm going your team. Yeah.
I
think
Be honest. You said L, and they actually did win. So
No, so I do. So like when it comes to this, when it comes to predictions and just like my takes, I always try to be more honest than worry about people's feelings and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because I do consider everyone like a brother to me, and I would want to be honest with them if I see something, if I feel like they can improve on something. I'm not afraid to point it out.
that wasn't true from last week. You said that you only chose Al Khalil because Mahed was here.
Because I like my head and I didn't want him to feel that. But I also kind of wanted to encourage them to like win. I really do want them to win.
yeah.
Unless they play us in the first round, then I don't want them to.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think matchup wise, you guys are very, very tough to guard. I know James has built his team a specific way to try and stop guys like IJ, potentially you.
Yep.
But I think that what they lack in size is going to make a huge difference, especially with you guys having Jacob and Ismail. I think rebounding is a huge part of the game that sometimes people don't realize. If you watch Lode's games, a lot of their wins are really because of Idris's ability to get up there and grab rebounds,
That's true.
offensive and defense.
Yeah.
So I would give the nod to you guys for this game.
Yeah.
Next game is Al Khalil versus Janine.
Whew. So I actually think after the Janine trade with Sully, I think they became the bottom. That's my opinion, maybe not. I think Al Khalil will actually win this. I think people have to trust in Anwar. I don't know why people are losing faith in Anwar. I think if you trust him 100%, he can pull out the win.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Al Khalil. Yeah.
So we just
Let's think about this, right? Let's think about this. Wakas,
Yeah.
right? Do you think they became better or worse without Wakas? With Wakas?
I think they lost a lot in Sully.
Mm-hmm.
I think they became. I don't know. Yeah.
Because from my perspective, watching your guys' game, it looked terrible out there today. Like, you guys didn't even have IJ. Matt played the worst I've seen him play ever. I've never seen Matt play that
I heard
bad.
he might have had a game this morning also, so he came to our game after another game. But I don't know. I'm not sure if that's true yet or not. But yeah.
So like, I think Janine. Yeah, I don't think Janine's gonna be able to pull out with this one.
So I will say, so my take on the trade has always been that I think it was a fair trade. I think it worked out better for both teams, but you have to look at the reasons behind that. So Sully, with the way he's playing now and his attitude right now, I think makes Janine a much better team. But at the time, like, things weren't working out for them for him on that roster. I think they were having some issues, and I don't think he was really happy being there. And the way Waqas fits with the way Yassine and Ahmed and these guys like to run the ball a little bit, I think it's a better fit. But again, when you're facing bigger teams like that size of Sully is something that's going to be very tough.
Yeah.
Although I will say today, Moghadassi was like all over the boards.
Yeah,
he was
yeah,
grabbing
yeah.
rebounds, but again, if that's Sully on the other team, I mean they played against each other last week, and Gaza won, right? And Sully I think had a pretty decent game. Right?
Yeah.
like 20
So I
points
go
or
head to head, like that kind of showed me like, hey man, that team is stronger right now. But I think I wouldn't say anyone lost out on the trade. I think it's just the chemistry on the team was better for both teams. Yep.
And at that point, I think the thing with Janine is at that point they didn't have like a lead scorer on that team, and so getting Moghadassi kind of helped that.
I think they did have a lead scorer. It's just they didn't like the way he was scoring, taking 30 shots a game.
Yeah.
Because he was still putting up a lot of points.
Yep. Yeah, I think like this is why we have to give credit to L, right? The way he's able to get Sully to buy into a team concept of like how to play and still get his, right? So I think that's where you have to give him credit. I will pick for this game. Unfortunately, I will have to not respect Yassine again this week and say Al Khalil is gonna win this one. And I do feel like it will be tough because I think this game the matchups are gonna play in Al Khalil's favor because I think that's between Saad, Mahid, Andy, Anwar, and who's their fifth?
Saad is yours. Oh, yeah,
Saad? Is that
let me
it?
see.
No, who's their fifth?
You
Mahid,
got
Saad.
Anwar, Andy, Mahid, Saad, and I think Salman.
Salman.
Oh,
Salman
yeah,
is their
yeah,
fifth.
yeah.
Those guys are all guys that can run around and keep up with guys on Janine.
Yeah.
Right? So I think they match up from that standpoint, and I think they'll have the advantage head to head as long as they are able to move the ball.
I just think that Al Khalil has to believe in Anwar. That's the last thing I'll say. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Next game after that is Gaza versus Ramla. Ayan
That's a
versus
good
L.
one. I got L's team again. I think L's team is top 3, top 4. It's going to be a good game, though, but I got L.
Chris versus Sully.
Well, no, not just Sully,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You got guys like AR, you got guys like L, you
David
got
Barber.
Justin Downs, who's really underrated,
Yeah.
David Barber, who's really underrated.
You can go while I think about this.
I will go with Ramla, and I'll tell you why. I'm very high on Ayan's team. I think that they still haven't peaked in terms of playing as a team together.
Yeah.
And I think that the way that they played today, first half, they were very dominant. Second half, I'm not sure what happened, but they did not look that great out there, even though they held on to the win. I think this is one of those games where Ayan and L going at it
Yeah.
and
That's
yapping
right.
and all that stuff. I think Ayan plays better in those situations.
Yeah.
And I know you weren't here last year, but I saw Ayan play in the playoffs when Hakeem and Maz were all in Kansas City for a wedding. And it was Ayan like literally carrying the team by himself.
That's something I did
Right.
see today, and I even told Deanna as we were watching the game. I said, I've never seen Ayan play this well. And again, it's not about the stats. It's about how controlled he was playing.
And I think he's getting very focused because I saw him. I was very, the way he played today, I think kind of reminded me of that. So I feel like they're getting to that point where I would start becoming a little bit nervous about having to play them.
Okay.
Right. This late in the game.
Yeah.
So I gotta go with Ramla.
I'm gonna also go with Ramla. Yeah. There's just everything that you pointed out about that team. I believe in that team.
All right, last game. Dear Yassine versus my team Rafa.
Well, I got Rafa, of course. I think unless Tejan does something crazy, or Wasey and Yassine do something crazy, I don't think they have much of a chance.
Yeah, I'm going with your team. It is what's going on with AJ?
So IJ, I believe, tweaked his hamstring a little bit on pickup ball, I think on Wednesday.
Yeah.
I think he felt okay enough to play today, but we didn't want to take a risk of getting hurt. We have the luxury right now of taking a week, making sure he's fully healthy. Like I said before, he's such a big part of our team that it's not worth him getting hurt over a regular season game. So we'll see what happens, how he's feeling for next week. I'm expecting him to play next week. I think I want us to win the last game of the season and go into the playoffs on a win instead of 2-game losing streak. So I think that he will be there, and if he is there, then I do like our chances a lot. I think we are able to neutralize Tajon a little bit with IJ, and I think the other matchups kind of play in our favor.
I have a question for you guys. What do you think about the playoffs and how it's looking right now? I know you're probably going to play Al Khalil. You feel confident about that, right?
I feel confident with them, not because I think we're an overall better team. I think it's more that they haven't figured out how to utilize their talent that well. And I think, after 8 or 9 games, if you haven't figured it out, it'll be very tough to figure out in a much more hostile Friday night game with a lot of people there watching in front of like friends and family and stuff. And, obviously IG on the court, that's not the time when you want to try to figure stuff out.
Yeah, and you guys will be first seed, even though Ramla has more point differential because you beat Ramla, right?
Correct. So I believe the way tiebreakers work is if it's 2 teams tied, it's head-to-head. If it's multiple teams tied, then it goes to point differential. So if it's like, if 3 of us end up in first place with the same record, then it will come down to point differential, which in that case, I believe Ramla takes first place.
Okay.
Yep.
Who do you have winning it?
Actually, no. If you guys win and both of us lose, then you guys
you're not going to
point
lose.
Differential.
You're not going to lose.
But, there's still a chance you guys
maybe Ramla could lose.
That is a tough
Well, I'm guessing they will lose. Yeah. That's my guess.
Yeah.
But who do you have for the playoffs? Who do you think is going to win all of it?
Like the entire championship?
The entire championship.
I gotta go Rafa.
Rafa?
Yeah.
Who do you think is going to be in the finals? Probably a team that gets second seed?
Yeah, your team, and I think either Ramla or Sheikh.
The way I have it in my brain pictured, I have you guys as the best team, but I have our team as the second best. I just think we've made many mistakes in this season, and that's why our record doesn't reflect it.
So in order, what do you think?
I think it's Rafa, then it's us.
Yeah.
Then I actually put Gaza at 3. I put L's team at 3. I put Ramla at 4. Put Deir Yassin at 5. Laud at 6. Al Khalil 7 and Janine at 8.
Ooh, Janine in the last place.
Unfortunately, I never wanted to say it. I mean, I've been training with Yassin, and I don't know. I just wish he didn't make that trade, but it's okay.
Interesting. So that's interesting because I think most people believe Al Khalil is the bottom team right now just because they haven't won any games. But I think you see a lot of what I see, which is they have to figure out how to play together. They have a lot of talent. And I think the biggest thing is, and you can kind of I didn't even think about this before, but just looking at the points allowed, right? They have to learn to play defense.
They have to learn. I was thinking about that today.
They struggle offensively at times, but what I've noticed in their games is when they're struggling to score, they're not able to stop teams defensively either. Mm-hmm. Like it just goes, like everything goes bad, right? If they're able to figure out, okay, we're having some bad offensive possessions, but let's at least lock down on defense and not give up points. You don't have to feel like it's a pressure to score on every possession after that.
Anwar needs to run the point, as whatever his teammates say. He needs to recognize that he is top dog. I mean, I haven't seen his past performances, but I heard he was an exceptional player in the past. But now he got injured and he's struggling a little bit. But I see it. I can see clearly that, his teammates just need to trust him and as the point, and then everyone can get buckets.
Yep.
Anything else?
I think that's it.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much.
And thank you to Mo for coming.
Oh yeah. Mo left already. He was just checking around
to
see if any agents were there. No, he didn't find any.
Yep. Just want to say I appreciate you coming on, taking the time out to come speak with us and tell a little bit about yourself to the league. Yeah. And looking forward to seeing you guys next week. Inshallah.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Boom. Perfect. Nice.
Yeah.
Yo, thank you very much for having me.
Of course, bro. Of course.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I think.
What? We just did.
Just do it now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you guys buy coffee, buy chocolate, and few other snacks that I'm gonna have. So make sure you guys subscribe. Ishwork signing off.